Let's solve for x given the equation inverse cosine of 2x minus inverse cosine of x is equal to pi over 3. In order to solve for x, we're going to take cosine of both sides, and the reason we're going to do that is because we want to get rid of the inverse cosine. So for that, we're going to use the difference formula. So let's say we have cosine x minus y. That's cosine x cosine y plus sine x sine y. So in this case, inverse cosine of 2x will be our x, and then inverse cosine of x is our y. So we have cosine of inverse cosine of 2x times cosine of cosine inverse of x plus sine of inverse cosine 2x times sine of cosine inverse of x. And that's going to equal cosine pi over 3, which is a half. Now whenever you compose two inverses, they're going to cancel. So the cosine of cosine inverse are going to cancel. And so we have 2x times x. And now we want to solve for sine of inverse cosine of 2x and x. So for that, we're going to draw a right triangle. So if let's say we have cosine inverse 2x, that's going to equal an angle. That means that cosine of that angle is equal to 2x. So if we have an angle theta, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, so think of this as 2x over 1. 2x is adjacent, hypotenuse is 1. Pythagorean theorem says this side is 1 minus 4x squared. And then same thing here, if we have cosine inverse x is equal to theta, that means cosine theta is x. Or we think of that as x over 1, so that's x is adjacent, hypotenuse is 1. This will be the square root of 1 minus x squared. And now we said that each one of these guys is angle theta, for these two different thetas. And so now if I take sine of theta is opposite over hypotenuse. That will be the square root of 1 minus 4x squared times, now we go over here, sine of theta is square root of 1 minus x squared over 1. And that's equal to 1/2. So now we're going to simplify. So we have 2x times x is 2x squared. And then because those are under square root, I could just multiply inside. So they'll be like 1 minus 4x squared times 1 minus x squared. And so I will simplify this as 1 minus 5x squared plus x to the fourth. 4x to the fourth equals 1/2. And basically, I'm going to switch spots, subtract the 1/2, and then subtract the square root. And so now, in order to get rid of the square root, I'm going to square both sides. 2x squared minus 1/2 squared is 4x squared minus 2x squared plus a fourth. And that's equal to 1 minus 5x squared plus 4x to the fourth. 4x, oops, this is supposed to be 4x to the fourth. 4x to the fourth are going to cancel. And then I'm going to add both sides by 5x squared. And then subtract 1/4, divide by 3, and then take the square root. And when I take the square root, I get two answers, plus or minus 1/2. And now what I need to do is plug it back in to see which one works. So recall the original was inverse cosine of 2x minus inverse cosine of x equals pi over 3. So the first one I'm going to try is 1/2. So I have inverse cosine of 1 minus inverse cosine of 1/2. Inverse cosine of 1 is 0, and then inverse cosine of 1/2 is pi over 3. this is equal to negative pi over 3, which does not equal pi over 3. So this one is wrong. Now we try x equals negative 1/2. So you have inverse cosine of negative 1 minus inverse cosine of negative 1/2. That's going to be 0 minus, and then inverse cosine of negative 1/2 is negative pi over 3. This is equal to pi over 3, so this is good. So we will keep x equals negative 1/2 and discard x equals 1/2. And so negative 1/2 is our final answer.